School is brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
So we're out here in the field at the Elora Research Station in the Ontario Corn Performance Trials, and we're talking again about frost because it's amazing what's happened with frost in terms of what we thought a week ago would happen and what's actually happening in the field. And we're really learning again, as we did in 2013, that frost can shock the plant and we can actually see a lot more injury than what we expected. So let's have a look at some of this corn. And if you look at this particular row, you can see that, wow, a lot of this corn a week ago we would have said it was alive because we have this inch of new growth, and that's really what we talked about, was the inch of new growth. A good inch here, but that plant is definitely dead. There's just no life left in it anymore, and we've had great weather. So high temperatures, you know, mid-20s, good nighttime temperatures, some rainfall. This plant should be roaring back, and they just simply are not. So from a replant decision, where a week ago we would have counted these plants as alive, I now count them as dead. What you really would like to see is this row. So you can see that with that good temperatures we've had, you should have gotten at least one, if not full 2 leaves of growth. Here you're getting that. You can see that the frost was just as bad as some of these plants. They're still buggy whipped, they're still hooked, they're fighting to get out of that. But look at the difference in terms of the growth and the vigor of those plants. So for whatever reason, whether it's plant to plant or it's varietal, and there are varietal differences, but we see it in fields of the same variety, these plants simply are not coming back the way that we expected. There's a great website on gocorn.net, an app there that you can look at and figure out in terms of the date and a replant decision. But believe it or not, on the 3rd of June, we are still making replant decisions in some severely affected fields because of this situation. A week ago we said don't do it, now we're saying do it. So the other thing that people always talk about is when we get into these frosted situations, we get a difference in maturity. And there's this concept out there that if a corn plant is 2 leaf stages behind, it becomes a weed. We have to get over that in this situation. So let's have a look. This is a pretty typical situation. And here we have 3 corn plants that really haven't been damaged by frost at all. Why the difference? Who the heck understands that? Certainly not me. But here's one right in the middle that got damaged by frost. It's buggy whipped. Here you can see that we have a plant that's clearly 2 leaves behind this one. It's not physiologically 2 leaves behind quite. It will catch up from a developmental standpoint, but certainly in terms of plant size, it's going to act like a delayed plant. And so lots of people say to me, is that a weed? And the answer is absolutely not. So work done here at the Elora Research Station would say that this plant still contributes to yield. It contributes a lot to yield if we move up to a situation like we have here, where that's all we have. So you might say, well, that's a weed compared to this one, but it's sure not a weed in here because we have nothing to compete with it, so that's all the yield we have. But these plants, they will yield 10 to 20% less than these plants, but they still contribute to yield. Even this guy in here that looks like he's well behind, or this guy here that's going to compete with this guy, is still going to yield, contribute to yield. He'll be delayed in maturity. He might be 2 or 3 points wetter, but 10 to 20% less yield, and a good plant is still a whole lot better than coming in this situation and replanting. So here we would not replant. Where the plants aren't making it, there we have to.